In this video, we're going to take you to the high point of Nevada, Boundary Peak. Subscribe to Slow Boat Sailing. In this video, we're going to climb the high point of Nevada, and we're actually starting from California because it's right on the border. It's Boundary Peak, over 13,000 feet. Subscribe to Slow Boat Sailing. We give you the stories of the most interesting sailors in the world, and also our high point adventures and our mountaineering adventures. Out here for the Boundary Peak, so Bishop, California, great climbing town. I got this boondocking site, Alpha Campendium. It's not exactly the coordinates, but I saw the 14-day sign. I think this is Inyo, but maybe it could be BLM land. I haven't checked. The public lands office in Bishop was closed today. I'm going to leave the trailer here, and then I'm going to take my Jeep Wrangler 4x4, and hopefully we can get all the way up so we can have an 8-mile hike instead of a 10-mile hike. And I'm going to try to get there before nightfall and then camp in the Jeep. That is, I'll sleep in the Jeep. So I've done this strategy with White Mountain and also Pico de Orizaba, sleeping in the Jeep. I think that's quite not a bad strategy. For high trailheads, instead of bothering to pitch a tent, just sleep in the back seat of the Jeep, and you're probably going to get up early anyways. It's probably just as good as like going through the tent rigmarole. So I'm going to do the Queens Mine route. I think that is really the standard route that most people take, especially if you have a 4-wheel drive vehicle. You should opt for that one, I think, if you can get within the 2 miles. But it's got less elevation gain even if you park at the mine, which is just sort of high clearance, but 2-wheel drive versus 4-wheel drive that last mile. Okay, let's get driving. Okay, I've been in 4-wheel drive mode, and you definitely want a really high clearance vehicle. I think this is the Queens Mine part where people say to park. This is the flat part. There's actually a campfire, and there's some dirt, but it's not obvious to me that it's a mine. There's a lot of switchbacks ahead of me. There was buildings like 2 or 3 miles back, but Google Maps says that we got another mile to the trailhead. Okay, so I'm up in the saddle now. I don't know if you can tell, but I am. I'm staying in the car because of the wind. It's really windy on the saddle. My watch says 10,600 feet. It's only supposed to be 9,700 according to Summit Post. There is like a fire circle here. Ironically, the road keeps on going up. It looks like you could get a 4-wheel drive vehicle a little further up. I don't see an actual trailhead marker, but maybe I'll hike it a little just to see if there is one. It's just a little cold up here, and I'm wearing 100-degree weather clothes, so I have to put on warmer clothes. And if I take the camera outside of the car, then it's going to be like super, super windy. Okay, so the road does seem to peter out just a little bit up from where I am. Maybe you can see the Jeep back there down the hill. Maybe not. And then there's a marker here, but there's nothing. There's no book or anything. Somebody left their business card. But otherwise, he probably left that many days ago. There's a bunch of rocks in this sign-in book, and it's not even labeled for what it is. But I assume this is the trailhead, such as it is. And then the trail, I guess, goes up this way. So I think it's good to park on the saddle there. It's probably not worth the extra 50 feet of elevation to go up that, because it's not a really great parking space or a place to turn around up here. Just stop on the saddle. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure I pack gaiters. I think I'll use my summer gators, but I'm going to leave the crampons and ice axe down here because one guy 3 weeks ago mentioned snow, but I think there was some snow I saw in the Sierras, you know, so maybe Whitney has snow right now. White Mountain has some snow, but I'm not sure how much snow there's going to be in Boundary or Montgomery Peak. I'm not planning on going for Montgomery, just Boundary. But so far it's not super well marked, but we'll see how it goes. It's supposed to be 7 miles from here. The good thing is there's cell phone signal here on the saddle, so that there wasn't cell phone all the way on the road, a lot of it, but here I did get some cell phone. Okay, so it's 5:30. This is dawn. Okay, so I'm about a mile in, almost 1,000 feet up, and we're on this ridge hike. It's quite a good trail actually so far. I'm not surprised, you know, I think the soil in the bristlecone pine forest, which is the White Mountains, we went by bristlecone pine grove just now, but not in the middle of it. Is quite solid, but you can see the mountains above me, they look like a kind of scree slope, so I assume it's going to get much worse and much harder to follow, but the first mile in was quite nice and unexpectedly good. Okay, so we're at another saddle here. Right next to me is a good place to pitch a tent if you wanted to carry one way high up. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but the guy last night might have done that. Very flat here, but now the trail climbs really quickly. I think instead of going up the scree slope, it goes sideways, but you can see we've been going for like 1.5 miles and not gained or lost any elevation at 10,700 feet. So we got 2,500 feet to go, and we only have like 1.4 miles or something, so that's going to be a pretty steep rest of the climb. So this flat portion is kind of unfortunate because we really have to climb the last portion. Okay, so I've made the summit ridge from that third saddle. So if you think the first saddle is where I parked the Jeep, so the end of the 4x4 route, and then there's a second saddle and a third saddle where you're only at 10,700 feet, and now we're at 11,800, something like that. So maybe 1,400 vertical feet to go. Now we can see new peaks that are higher than us behind us. So of course this first thing, it went straight up, more or less. The trail was better than I thought it would be, but sometimes it was a little hard to maintain your footing, and I lost the trail a few times, but got it back, just looking for where there's not vegetation, where the ground is a different color and it's got steps. So I think it's not bad so far. It's obvious it's going up there, and maybe on to over there. I'm hoping not, but maybe. We shall see. I don't see a trail on the higher peak, which may be Montgomery, but I don't know. So I'm already 3.4 miles, so I assume we're going to go a good mile over whatever is projected. I guess 3.8, maybe if you take the 7.6 mile. Although All Trails, I think, said it was 7.5, which I think is wrong. I find all trail distance is always too short, but it is what it is. We got 1,400 feet, and I think it's going to take us some distance to get there. Okay, so I lost the trail about 12,100 feet. I had to actually backtrack. I was kind of getting to the point where I was about to do a class 4 scramble to a peak that I didn't think was even the summit, just to try to find the trail. So I backtracked to try to see where the trail is going. I think I'm on the right track here, but it's really hard to say. I just don't know if the trail is like padded down enough in this part. And if you've got rocks or you've got a switchback you miss. I think it's, I actually have cellular now. My watch says it's 12,100 feet, but it says 12,500 feet. When I go to the Ultrails app, and the Ultrails app shows me as probably 90% of the way to it in terms of distance. So I think I must be close. It might be one of those peaks behind me. I'm just not quite sure which one. But how to get to it. So I just took a minute to repack my stuff, switch the water from my big bottles into my little bottles, which I drink out of, and just chill. I think there's one important thing that, like, when you're climbing, is to give yourself the space to like chill out and not panic and try a few things. And that's one of the reasons why you want to go early, not late, so you're not rushing. Worst case scenario, if I don't want to drive in the dark, then I can always camp here overnight at the saddle where the Jeep is. Okay, I'm at the summit of Boundary Peak here. You can see Humphreys in the background. It looks like madness to me if you want to climb Humphreys in the same day, but more power to you if you've got the Moxie and you like these class 4 scrambles. There are plenty of scrambles getting up here. Very hard to find the trail at the end. Thanks for Ultrails map. I did get cellular and that helped. I'm getting covered by these gnats the way we did in these, I guess, glacier gnats or something here. They weren't so virulent before the summit, but they're pretty bad here. Yeah, so very difficult, I would say, very technical, very hard to find the trail. I think my hope is that it's going to be easier to keep the trail on the way down, but it's going to take some time. It took me 6 hours and 50 minutes up. I took a very slow pace. I wasn't really taxed physically, but it was the mental challenge of trying to find the trail and stay on it, and to avoid getting yourself in a class 4 scramble unnecessarily. Shouldn't have more than class 3 here, although I think it's rated class 2. So I'll see if you can do it class 2 on the way down if I can find the trail properly. But there were some boulders I scrambled over towards the end, but the last bit I did walk up. Subscribe to Slow Boat Sailing. We're doing the 50 state high points. Check out our videos of the other Western high points. I think there was like one guy that summited before me, but I didn't see him sign in. But I was looking in the sign-in sheet. There is a sign-in sheet. There's an NGS marker for Boundary Peak here, but it's looking like maybe 1 or 2 a day, and it is a weekday in the summertime. So maybe there's more people on the weekends. Who knows? But it's pretty sparse. I haven't seen anybody going up this morning. He went up at night for some reason. Okay, it was about 12 hours round trip, 9 miles by my watch, but I got lost a lot. So we had a great day. Subscribe.